So, Kristi, I've given you a little bit of an introduction already, but just for my listeners, I know you're going to do a much better job telling us more about you, your journey, how you got here, the work that you do. So, Kristi Hrivnak, please fill in any gaps for us and lead us into this beautiful conversation that we will have today.
Sure. Thank you so much, Kasha. I am a remote energy healer. That is what I call myself. Over the past couple of years, I've been sort of awakened to this inner gift that I have, where I can clear emotional trauma for other people through my body. So it's been certainly a journey and an adventure to uncover this gift. And then in the last year, I feel like I've really found my own process and how this gift is kind of filtering through and being used in my work. There's sort of two streams of work that I'm doing right now. One is with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, helping them hone their process for moving towards their desires with more sort of ease and flow, as opposed to this old kind of hustle culture that we've been sort of, conditioned into. So there's that piece. And then there's also the second piece where I've been bringing this work into the prison systems and working specifically with men in prison and just kind of seeing how this journey unfolds for them. I'm in the process now where I'm creating a program, a 6-month program for men in prison that I'll start to roll out in January. So that's kind of the big picture of my work, and I'm excited to see how it all unfolds.
Wow. Oh gosh, Kristi, we could take this conversation anywhere now. I am so fascinated. But what I really loved that you said is that you're awoken, you realize you have this gift, or a gift, if you don't mind me saying, and then it was a journey that has led you to where you are right now. And the reason I love that you've mentioned this is because often with my students, I guess, that I teach psychic development, I often say that where you are right now is not where you will be. Like the awakening, the realization that, hang on a minute, I have all these other senses, abilities. That is just the beginning, but there is so much more that's going to unfold. And it's very different than, let's say, taking on an apprenticeship, let's say, when you want to learn, I don't know, carpentry or plumbing, right? Because you know that where you start, I mean, yes, you're going to add more tools and skills, but you're going down this path. Whereas with the spiritual work, and I wonder whether you agree with me, is that where we start is we never really know where this journey is going to lead us, how it's going to unfold, and that perhaps even where you are now is not the final destination, but just, a moment where you stop, you do your work, and then it continues to evolve. Is that how you see this as well?
Yeah, I do. For me, I see it as like the inward spiral is the focus. So for me, it's all about like the mind, body, and soul, the things that I do have sort of control over and how I'm navigating them. And then kind of watching how that inner process of continuing to, understand myself and move in ways that are aligned with me, that then filters through into the outside world. Then things just start to change and, different paths open, some doors close. So I definitely agree. You don't know where this process is going to take you. And that's kind of one of the things that I love helping people with, is really turning into what is here for them and finding a lot of pleasure and excitement with that piece, because then we kind of let go of the external and how it's going to unfold, and we just really find beauty in like what is right here. And then it's like what happens on the outside is such a crazy thing. Like you look back at your life, like 1 year ago, everything was so different for me. So 100%, I love like the not knowing is really, if we can embrace that, it's really, really fun.
Yes, and I think now that you've mentioned the spiral, you've articulated it so beautifully, because I feel like we are in the center of our own little vortexes, right? And we often think that we have to go outwards to create change. Oh, we've got a little visitor. Oh, that's so cute. Christy's
Had to
doggy
make
just
an
came.
appearance.
Oh, beautiful. Um, like we think it's all about taking big steps, big actions, and so many of us are so plugged into the world and what's happening globally. But actually, change really comes from within,
Mhm.
I believe, by working, like you said, and I love the spiral, by working, the inner stuff, dealing with this, changing the energy here, and then it kind of radiates out and has this ripple effect. I really love how you described it with the spiral, Kristi. But so, okay, so let's take this conversation to actually your beginnings then, where you started with your spiral, because I would love for my listeners to hear and witness a little bit of your journey from, like, what did you do before? And then you have this awakening. What did that feel like? Or how did you feel after this awakening? How did you know this is what I'm going to do, right? Because we know it's not a finished product, it's a journey.
Yeah, it really has been quite a long journey. Like I had a massive awakening when I was 24 after my mom passed away. And I really got an experience like that changed everything that I thought I believed about life. So that was kind of the start, but then there were different stages. Like, I did a long therapy journey where I learned all about inner child healing, and I was still aware of energy, but that time in my life was more about me kind of really looking back to my childhood and doing a lot of healing in that sense. And then this kind of remote healing gift started to come through, and I was like, okay, what is this? And like I sort of reawakened to the fact that I'm like a full-blown empath. Like I totally had repressed this. I knew I was sensitive, but I didn't know I could do what I'm doing with this energy. Um, so it really has been a huge evolution. And I would say just in the last 9 months or so, like just as I was bringing this work into prisons, I had another really big awakening of how my perspective almost on this healing journey sort of really shifted. Like I shifted kind of from healing to creating. And even though that sounds like, well, isn't it kind of the same thing, or what does that even mean? But for me, it was a really big shift, because before that shift, I had been stuck in almost like a hamster wheel of healing. Like it was like, oh, I got to go back in now and clear that wound. Oh, I got to look at like that piece of my shadow. Oh, I got to do this. And it just felt really like there was no end. And of course, there's no end, but something about shifting into this view of creation and what do I want to create in my life? What's my plan? Where's the, what are the pieces I want to really focus my energy and kind of channel my energy into? That shift has been really big for me. I didn't see it as a huge awakening, but now that I'm kind of on the other side, I'm like, oh, wow, that was big. So like, that's now what I'm sharing with people is like how to make that transition. Just because, healing can get very like draining. Healing can be really, really tiring after a while. So this shift into kind of creation just sort of opened things up for me and helped me be excited about the journey again, as opposed to feeling like, just a little monotonous. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
and I would love for you to explain a little bit of your process, if you can, Christy, because I remember I don't even know how our paths crossed, how I stumbled upon you, but I remember your beautiful Instagram account, which is black and white. Your website is black and white. Like your photos are black and white, and it's just so beautiful. I was going to say to my listeners, even if we don't give you links and you just type in Kristi Hrivnak and then black and white pops up, you're there, right? Like, this is the place. But what really drew me in, Kristi, was you shared, I don't know what it was, last year or 2 years ago, videos, a series of videos where you were showing how you did a healing. And I was saying this to you just before we hit record that, you know, there are energy healers who do, you know, remote healing through Reiki, you know, using crystals and boards, but I've never really seen an energy healer who works the way you do. Could you, I don't even know how you can explain what you do. I think this has to be seen. I don't know. If you want to
Yeah,
try.
it is quite interesting. I have been told from somebody else, you know, a spiritual mentor, that what I'm doing is like an ancient shamanic technique, but I did not go to school for this. Like, this is an innate thing that I just kind of know that I know how to do, if that makes sense. Like, you know, it must have been with me for many lifetimes now. But basically, I channel another person's energy. Like, I make a duplicate in my body of their energy. And then I can kind of see by feeling, because I'm an empath. So I kind of just open the channel and ask to feel into what, you know, the most important energy that needs to kind of come through is. And I'll feel it in my body. Like, if it's sadness, like my face will become really sad and I'll kind of keel over into, you know, a rounded position, like really disempowered.
Really painful. It's like you could
It
feel the
looks
pain watching you.
Yeah, most people are like, whoa, like I thought that it was peaceful, because they don't know what it looks like, right? Like, if someone signs up for my program, they just sign up and then I tell them what energy is clearing and they're like, oh, cool. But if they see the videos, they're like, oh, wow, that is not how I thought
It's
it
like
would
you're
look.
showing the inside. This is what's happening on the inside of you. You think you're just having a bad day, but here's like this coming out. Fascinating.
Exactly. It really is. Yeah. And then from that point, it's not so much that I'm doing the releasing. It's kind of like I'm just surrendering my body. And then I feel, you know, source energy moving through me to clear it out. So it's less of me doing anything and more of me just surrendering. And, you know, sometimes I might need to guide certain energy out, or, you know, whatever. But it's, yeah, it's a process that definitely asks for a lot of trust and, you know, openness and letting go.
Wow. So exactly. And I love that you just said that, because when we first start to work with spirit, when we first realize we have these extra senses and we pick up energies that aren't necessarily in this physical world, there's a moment, and I'm noticing this with my students, I guess, who are going through psychic development, and learning this, where let's say you are connecting with your guides, and they feel almost, I'm trying to word, how do I want to word it? Okay, there's this moment where they feel a little bit like, well, what if people think I'm crazy? I'm essentially talking to no one, right? Or when they're doing Reiki, I don't feel anything. I'm sure something's coming through here, right? There's a moment where mediumship, right? Well, I'm actually telling people their loved one is here. What if, because they can't see it, what if they think I'm crazy and they're not here, right? There's this moment of like self-doubt where, you know, and we kind of shrink, because I mean, watching you on video, you would have to go into a state of allowing, letting go of control in order for the energy to come through, right? Like, you can't have this, what if I look weird on camera, or don't look, you know? So how
Yeah.
how did you get yourself into this state of allowing, where you can let go of, you know, your own limiting beliefs, filters, stuff, and just let spirit energy work through you? Because I feel like my listeners would really, really, really benefit from knowing this from someone who does the work the way you do.
Yeah, the doubt is definitely, it's almost like one of those things where it's just a decision to not give it power. Like, I don't know that there was never a time I felt doubt, like it is vulnerable for me to do that on video, but it's just kind of a decision of just a no, like a clear line, like not entertaining that, like, this is who I am, I'm believing in this. Like, it's sort of like clear dividing line of just anytime the doubt comes in, it's just a no. Like, I'm not doing
But
that.
you have to have some sort of level, Kristi, of really feeling like I am the tool here. I am, as Rumi said, I am the flute through which spirit plays its tune. Like, you have to go, right? Like, I mean, I love that clear line, but I think so much of us, so many times, we identify so much with who we are, what we do, what people will think, right? That the work that we do, whether we're a librarian, a teacher, a lawyer, an energy healer, we feel like, yes, we can let go, but only to a certain degree, because what will people think? How will I come across? What if they laugh? What if they turn away, right? And as spiritual workers, healers, especially, you really, really have to let go. It's not about you. It's not about us. It's about being tool, I guess is a weird word to say, but being that channel for spirit, for energy to really come through, so we can make this work more potent, so it can have this effect, so someone can receive the healing. Yes.
Yeah, and it is an evolution. Like, you were probably seeing the videos when I had already clicked into like, this is who I am. So you were feeling that there wasn't any of that. But before that, there was, that questioning of, not so much when I opened up the gift, because I was so like, the gift was the last thing. Actually, that's a good point. The gift was the final thing to be shown to me. Before that, I was honing all of my trust in my, coaching and my sharing intuitive things with people. Like, I was working my belief in myself with those smaller things. I took an energy healing course, and I remember the teacher said, you've just got to go with it. Like, even if you're like, was that something? It's like, yeah, trust that it was something and go with it. And then the more you do that, the less the doubt comes in, because you start to really, everything gets stronger. Like, once you choose to believe in that, that will start to get more powerful than the doubt. But yeah, for me, once I realized what I was doing with this gift, and that it was real, it was almost like that was just who I am. Like, I couldn't doubt myself. I couldn't have the doubt about the gift. Like, I doubt myself sometimes in other areas, but not with that. It was just like, yeah, this is a thing, and I can't not use this. Like, look what I'm doing. Like, I can't ignore this now. I can't not use this in my work. Yeah, it was
How
crazy.
limiting would that be, right?
Yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
remember one of my spiritual teachers, Jeffrey Allen, and he
That's
was.
right. That
Did
was the
you?
one that I took. He was the one that I took the course. Like, I took an 8-week course with him.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that kind of opened me up. And then the gift came like a couple months later
Oh,
or
my.
something.
I love synchronicities.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
love it.
But he shared actually an example from one of his classes where a student, I think they were looking at or connecting to a fellow student, trying to look at the aura, and she goes, I'm not seeing anything. And then he was like, well, what about the flowers or colors or something? And she's like, is really, yeah, I'm seeing that, but is that something? And I think for me, this was the moment that, like, we tend to kind of like have this idea of it has to be like zombies coming up, or spirit,
Yeah.
like Patrick Swayze goes popping up, and if we don't see these hardcore, physical
Yeah.
almost things, then the rest is nothing. Right? And for me, it goes, no, that's something, whether it's, whether it makes sense to our human minds or not, whether it's a color, an impulse, an imprint, it's something. And that was like, for me, that was like the penny drop there.
Yes,
I love,
completely. Yeah,
I love
completely.
the synchronicity, Kristi. It's
Jeffrey Allen, he's
beautiful.
so great.
It is so amazing. Um, Kristi, I really would like to shift a little bit now, if that's okay with you, because I mean, I adored your work, like I said, from these videos. And I hope that my listeners, those who are on a psychic development journey, a spiritual journey, will go and have a look at your videos. Because I hope that they will get inspired with how, when we put aside who we are, and how we appear or look or whatever, put that aside, how powerful their gift can be, how powerful their work can be. So I hope that when this episode finishes, you will go and check out Kristi's Instagram. It's a feast for the eyes, just a black and white even. But for me, you rose in my eyes, in my mind, even more. I think it was this year when you started the prison mission. And I've been sort of seeing bits and pieces on Facebook. I'm trying to stay away from social media, but every time you have an update, it's like, oh my God, I need to know what's happening next, what's happening next. And it's this beautiful story that's unfolding. It's beautiful, but it's also sad. Would you please tell us how did that came about? Like, going into not just a very masculine area energies, but also being so brave to go, I will go where perhaps psychologists have done work. It's almost like people have given up on these people, and you go there and you help untangle whatever is keeping them in conflict a little bit. Please share.
Yeah, I would say it was sort of a buildup of, not feeling entirely like I was using my gift in exactly the right places. So I was obviously sharing with everyday people, spiritual entrepreneurs. Like, those were, most of the people that would attend my programs, mostly women. And I did a meditation at the beginning of last year, and I think I was just I was feeling unfulfilled. Like, I wasn't feeling, I love that work, but I was feeling like I was missing something. And the feeling wasn't going away. It kept revisiting. I was in this sort of spiral where I kept seeing this feeling again. So I think I just sat down and said, look, like, where am I supposed to be working? Show me where I'm meant to bring this gift. And it was a really cool vision, actually. I saw, I shot back into space and saw like a bird's eye view of the earth. And I saw all these areas lighting up. And I thought, oh, well, what are those areas? Like, that's obviously where I'm supposed to be serving. And so I sort of dove through, and I really had to push, sometimes when you're in trance, like, you've got to really push through unconscious energy. So I could tell I was going to some place within me that was hidden. And when I got there, to the light, I saw that it was a prison, and it all kind of felt in my body like, oh, that's it. Like, when it's the feeling, like, it's a visceral experience. So I thought, okay, well, now I have this crazy piece of information. Like, how am I going to do this? Because in the meditation, I was like, it makes so much sense. Yeah, of course. And then, like, I came out of the meditation and I was like, okay, but how?
Where do I start?
Yeah.
Where does my little human plug in now?
So there was kind of, I did use my mental capacity to sort of think, okay, if I were going to do this, how would I do it? And, there were kind of Facebook groups for families of people who have an incarcerated loved one, but that didn't feel right because, I wanted to go right to the source. I wanted to know if, a person in prison was even going to be responsive to this gift and this work that I'm doing. So I found out that there were pen pal sites for prisoners. And I honestly, I just, in a moment of courage, just went on and clicked one person and read their profile and was like, okay, I know I can help with these things. It was stuff that I had helped other people with. So I felt confident. And so I just sent them like a snail mail letter. And that was how it all started.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So amazing. So amazing. And
Crazy.
gosh, how brave you are, right? Because I know that state in meditation that feels so expensive, and we feel literally like we're so connected to our essence, that soul that is limitless, that is fearless. Like, of course, I can do anything. This feels so easy. And then we open our eyes and it's like, oh, we're back here and everything is so dense and so real. And like, where do I start now? now, now I gotta start somewhere. Um, but also the fact that I'm familiar with that feeling of not completely fulfilled, not hating your work, not disliking your work, but just like there's more to it, and like it keeps coming back. And I always feel like that's a soul kind of like going to us, hello, hello, you're ready for the next thing. You're ready. Here we go. Come on. So I love that you listen to that, because so many of us don't. We just dismiss it and we wait for something big to happen to shift us into that, right? So I just wanted to acknowledge that that was amazing and so much courage, because again, you could have made it all about you. Like, what is tiny little me going to do? And like, where do I go? Oh, I don't know. This feels too hard. I'll just let it go. But
Yeah.
you found a way. And then what happened then?
Well, I mean, this was just a crazy thing what happened then. Like I learned through talking to this guy that the things on his profile that resonated as things that I could help him with were that he had experienced loss. So I did a big therapy journey overcoming the loss that I experienced when my mother died. So I knew that like grief is something I know how to, help somebody, help help them walk through it. So I learned later that this person had actually experienced so much trauma and like brutality and violence in prison that he was actually confined, paralyzed from the waist down in a wheelchair. I didn't know this when I had written him. I was just writing him about the emotional stuff that he had talked about. And as we begun this healing journey, I said every Tuesday I'll clear your energy. And I mean, he was open-minded, like he believed in psychics, and he was probably the best person to be the first person that I contacted, thankfully, divine design. But when I found out all this stuff about him being in the wheelchair, I didn't have any expectation that anything was going to happen with that, but I knew it could, because I believe in miracles, like obviously in this work. And as we continued to work together, he started to regain sensation in his legs. And like, I mean, he's not walking yet, and he's really in a bit of a tough spiral. Like there's lots of stuff there, but it's just been like a really incredible thing to be a part of. And it's given me a lot of confidence that I can bring this, to the prison system, and maybe do it in more of a structured way in the new year, and kind of plan it out a bit more. Like I didn't really plan it. I just wanted to see if it would even be, people would be open to it. But yeah, it's been really, really a rewarding experience.
So amazing. Yes, because
Yeah.
wow, that is mind-blowing. And how you were guided to the, like you said, the most perfect person to be the first person, right?
Yeah.
And trusting that you were sent there for a reason. So are you still working with this man, and how many other prisoners are you working with currently?
So it was 4 people for the last 9 months. And then I told him I need to take 2 months off. Like I have noticed that it's not that it's taken a toll, but it just feel like I need a clean kind of break for 2 months to get clear on the next step. Because there was a lot of inner growth for me that occurred, a lot of like codependent cycles for all of these men, and my old codependent cycles kind of releasing. So it's been like really good to teach me my boundaries, to say, no, I'm not taking that on right now. Like all of kind of helping me become who I need to be, I think, for this next part to be successful. So those couple people, they know that they're welcome to join the program that's going to begin in January. Whether or not they do, I don't know. Like I'm letting it all go to make sure that I bring in the right people for this January program. So hopefully they will want to be a part of it. But if they don't, I'm kind of at peace with like, I know I did with them what we were supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So I guess I'm really curious, how was your working with or doing this prison mission, working with these men? Was it different than working with your clients who are, let's say, entrepreneurs, coaches that come to you for that sort of clearing there? Was it different? Was it harder? Did they have to do anything? Did you give them homework, or was it mostly you and they just had to trust that when you say Tuesday, I'm doing something, you can do whatever you want to? Like, how did that work? How was it different, or was it the same?
It was definitely different. I think it was also different because of what I brought it forth. Like in my programs, I bring forth a very grounded, very clear, very decisive energy to my clients. Like it's a very clean energy that I have in my work out here. In prisons, because I didn't even know what it was yet, my energy wasn't even clear. Like I was like, is this even going to work? Like, I don't know. So my own, what I was bringing to them was clouded, like I couldn't even see. So the whole process kind of was reflecting that back to me, that I need to get clearer. I need to get clearer. I need to get clearer. And so that was kind of the whole process with these first 4 men, was like showing me where I need to run this the same way that I do out here, and get more structured with it and get more clear with it. But they were very open. And the people that I tended to attract, at least 3 of the 4, were somewhat tuned in with energy, like the concept of energy. So it wasn't that far out. I would say one of the people was not, didn't really know, but was still open, was still like, I'd like to learn. So there was an openness. I do feel that the people that I work with out here are a little bit more comfortable with diving into the emotions, diving into the subconscious, into the darkness. In there, I mean, they're in an environment that does not encourage trust. So, or opening up to your emotions, like prison is not a place where you would feel great doing that. So what I'm going to be doing for the program in the new year is a little bit more sort of mental, to help open things up emotionally, just because I know there's a little bit of that barrier where it's like maybe not as trusting to go
It's still a bit
down
reserved.
there. Yeah, like they're trying to survive. They're not trying to open something up that makes them break down. Like that's the opposite of what they want to do. So
that's what I was going to ask, because the kind of prison that you chose to work within, that's not just a light sort of prison. It's heavy, like it's dangerous, right?
Exactly.
So how has your work impacted these men? I guess the silly term that comes to mind is, did it make them so weak that then their survival in that prison has become a little bit more dangerous? Have you turned them into like sissies?
No, I feel like for many of them, I was a symbol of like, there is a bigger plan here. Like they're very isolated. So when I came in with this, hey, I'm doing this program, like this is what, like, and to them, they found meaning in that. So I think it created a sense of, comfort, that there is something bigger going on, and that maybe, God or source or whatever is on their side, or there's something that sees them and that is on their side. Like I think that brought something really positive. But no, I definitely don't think I felt that my presence was a positive thing for all of them. Um,
Have you met
yeah.
any of them face to face? Like, because you do it at home, right? Like, you don't actually go into that prison, but have
Yeah.
you? Have you gone there? Have you
No,
seen them?
I've had phone calls with a couple of them. We've been able
Okay.
to connect over the phone, and that's helped to really open up the trust. You know, they can hear my voice, they can hear that I'm just a
A
regular
real
person.
person. Mm.
Yeah, exactly. That was another thing. Like sometimes they wouldn't even trust that I was who I said I was. You know, like the first guy was like, I just can't help but think that this is one of my friends, you know, trying to get me to talk or open up. So there is quite a big trust
Mm.
factor there. Um, so the calls did help. I'm not convinced that the calls helped in the way that I want them to, because the thing is, the issue is that I don't want people to become dependent on me, right? So like the more contact they have, the more they
You'll
may
be
think
that life-saving boat, that raft that they
exactly.
cling on to.
Exactly. So I think for this program in the new year, it's going to be a lot of like self leadership. Like it's going to be more self led than what I did for these last 9 months. It's going to be more like, here's, you know, journaling prompts. This is the energy that came through this week. And here's like what I want you to think about. And if you want to send it to me, that's fine. But like, you don't have to send me anything. Like I want to be a little more, giving them the reins to run their experience within themselves, instead of being such a like intimate guide that they feel like they, you know, they, which I mean, it's hard, right? Because obviously they do need guidance, but yeah, I'm feeling good about where I'm like headed based on what I've learned in these first 9 months.
So would you say now, Kristi, that from that feeling of there has to be more, I mean, I'm supposed to be doing a little bit more, maybe I'm not using my gift fully to its full potential, to where you are now, listening to that imprint that you got, that visualization, that or visual, I should say, of going into a prison, being brave enough, contacting, working with them, to here now, would you say that following that has given you, for now, that fulfillment that you were looking for?
Yeah, it definitely has. Like, I think the piece that I was sort of missing in my work is that it's almost like that question you asked about the doubt. Like, how do you not have doubt? It's almost like I'm so comfortable in my role with you know, spiritual entrepreneurs and the work that I help people with on a day-to-day basis out here, that it's not a boredom, that's not the right word. Like I love that work, but it's like something about the prison thing activates parts of me that get challenged a lot more than, you know, out
Mm.
here. Out here I don't get challenged that much. Like there's not so much that phases me that goes on in, you know, like my day-to-day life, but bringing it into the prisons, a lot of my own stuff, like it was a big cleaning for me too. It was a big growth period for me, the whole 9 months. It was like more asking me to step in, and I love that. Like I'm the person that like I like risk, I like, you know, getting a little uncomfortable. So I think for me it satisfied that, which I think is a really important part for my soul. I think I have that desire to continue to, you know, be slightly uncomfortable, not in a painful way, but just I like that. Like I want to keep growing, and I want to see how far I can take this little human in this life.
Yeah.
So
Oh, Kristi, there's like a million questions that I want to ask you, but being mindful of our time, um, is there anything that you wish I did ask you that I haven't? Any topic that I didn't touch on that you want to share with us?
I would love to talk just a bit about my program, if there's anybody,
Yeah, absolutely.
because this program is really something special. Like I've run so many programs, and they've all been really transformational. But I wrote a post on this the other day, like this program Brilliance that we're in pre-launch for. It'll start in January until March. It's the program that will grow, that will be able to hold my growth. So this was another part of the work that I think was bringing a bit of that unfulfillment, is that the actual container for my work was not completely suitable for who I am as a person. Like, I need a container that holds my bigness, instead of just teaching a process or something like that is a bit less stimulating for me. I need to be also growing like in the space.
Yeah.
So this program that I started up, and it's in its first round right now, and it's going really, really well, but it's really helping people do that transition from healing to creating, and the empowerment that that brings to people. Even in the healing, this kind of spiritual, world and realm, with all of these wonderful healers and empaths and, people on their soul journey, we do get stuck sometimes in a place that actually doesn't serve us, even though we think that we got to keep healing to make the changes, or to get the life we want. It's like we get a little bit stuck in that. So for me, and for the people that I tend to attract into this program, it's all about kind of stepping out of that and just starting from scratch. Like, what is it that you want? Like, let's start with that. And then how can we use, presence and energy mastery of your own process and your own mind, body, and soul to kind of begin to draw that to you from this, present moment. My work is always about grounding in the present. So yeah, that's the main thing. And I would love to share more information with anybody who's listening that wants to learn more. It's just
We'll
a
send
really
everyone.
program.
Yeah, and I will make sure to post all the links, all the ways that you can find Kristi in the show notes as well. I mean, I had this huge privilege of being in one of your containers, and it's so amazing because you really show up, and for people, like, I mean, obviously, whether you're a coach or whatever you do online, you obviously hopefully show up for your clients, but you go like next level. And Kristi, you are to me this symbol of being here as this, channel, the facilitator, the medium, between spirit and humans. Like, you really put aside anything that is yours that gets in the way, and really allow energy to come through, spirit to come through, to really make your work potent, to really help people. And I really love this so much about you. I was wondering whether we could perhaps ask you to share with my listeners, and I didn't tell you this obviously before, I actually just through our conversation, I'm like, Kristi, it would be so good to share this, but share some tips in with my listeners at the beginning, and things are awakening and opening up, and it's so different than learning a modality or something in this physical world. Do you have any tips for my listeners around how they can put aside their BS, their belief system, to really just be this clear channel and see what happens? Because you do it so well. Fears, anything, you put it aside somehow, and you're here to do the work.
I do think it's a process. I don't know if there's a one, because I think for me, just my path has really, I've been clearing away bit by bit this self-doubt, so that when things dropped in, I was ready for them. But just doing that work of what I said, of like really catching, it's when we don't catch the doubt, when we let the doubt come in, that's when it starts to rustle things up, and we start to engage with the doubt. It's the engaging with the doubt that makes the doubt bigger. So it's like the second you either feel the stimulus of the emotion or you hear the thought, it's just a quick no, like this is who I am, something to, it's really that masculine energy, like that really direct, grounded, like I will not stand for that anymore. Absolutely not. No, this is the path I'm going to. Like it's really it's a fierce love. It's not the feminine love of the, oh, it's okay, you're doubtful, it's okay. It's not that. It's like a no, I am not doing that anymore. Like this is who I am. Like, and I want to allow my gifts in. And so this doubt is not stopping me. Like it's really
I feel you. I can feel your words so bad. Yeah, yeah.
Like I love myself too much to let this doubt have power.
I always say it's like you are in the mud. You find yourself in the mud, and there's like people standing there with sticks trying to help you out. There's a way for you to go, but you're like, nah, I'm gonna thrust you in the mud. I'm messy. I'm dirty. I might as well stay. That's like choosing like and then you amplify, you get more dirty and you sink deeper. It is the way. If you just stopped and, but we choose to sit in the mud, right? That's how I see it. I was feeling every word of that. Yes, it is. You got to get tough with it and just really go like, no, fear, you can't sit here with us,
Yeah, exactly. And I also just remind myself that all it is a thought, like it's just a little thing of energy that comes in and we can let it go, or we can break it as it's here, we can break it rather than thinking that this thought is, but it's our identity. Like we make all this up, it's like, well, I'm done with that identity. Like, what's my new identity? Okay, it's a spiritual healer. Great. How am I going to fuel that now? Yeah.
Before I let you go, Kristi, I just have one last question about your program, actually, that's starting in January. What can people expect in it? Is there going to be, because I know in that container that I was in, you were showing up with updates, Danny, but you also gave us like a session that we could participate in where you were tuning in to us. What can people expect, especially if they go now and they look at your Instagram, they look at the videos that you've done, and then they're like, oh, I would want to do that program. What's involved?
Yeah, so there's two kind of options. You can either do premium or standard. Standard is just to get into the private Facebook group where there will be 2 teachings a month. So for the standard rate, you get to be in the group energy and then experience the teachings, which are all about creating your reality. Like, what do you want to create in life? And then here's how you're going to go about doing that. And it's really about, it's not me telling you how you're going to go about doing it. It's about me telling you how you're going to let your process come through you. So it is a very individualized experience still, even though I'm teaching. The premium though is like, I mean, if it's within budget, definitely do the premium, because the premium is when you get either 1 month, 2 month, or 3 months of energy clearing. So I am clearing your energy every single day. And this is what really allows for the big transformation. Like if you're ready to really step into your power, let's say that example of letting go of the guilt, like if you're ready to just embody the fact that you are, this is who you are, a psychic or whatever it is, then the energy clearing will really make that happen in the 3 months. And the premium, there's a lot of one-on-one contact. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm clearing your energy and then providing that, whatever the clearing said, whatever guidance comes through. And we're kind of, back and forth a little bit. If there's any questions on those days, they get answered privately. So yeah,
do people have to be present for this, like for the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Do they have to go on a call with you, or
no, it's all done via voice note. So it's sort of like we have our own private little, anyone who's doing premium, I have a one-on-one chat with all of these people. Like we're not all in the same chat. It's like you're really getting a lot of like personal time. Yes. Yeah. So there is a bit of voice note, whenever you can throughout the day, respond to the voice note, and that sort of furthers the journey. But It's been like a really special, like that example that you gave of staying in the mud. That is like what people are breaking out of. It's like, why am I playing this story? Like when I can just do it a different way, you know? And a lot of the times logically we know this, emotionally we're kind of stuck in the victim mode. So this program Brilliance is like helps people get unstuck from that, you know, getting pulled into that kind of victim consciousness. It's
Oh,
yeah,
so good. That is brilliant.
it's I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
Wow, you're going to have a very busy January.
Yes.
So this is so nice. I just want to stay on the Zoom call and just keep asking you more questions, but I know we're all going to get back to life. I've got to do school drop-offs. You've got stuff going on. Kristi, this was so beautiful, so lovely. It was such a pleasure to get you on this call to share you with everyone on the Solid Spirit Driven podcast. Where can my listeners find you?
Definitely Instagram, Facebook are the best places. And I've got my link up there with my website. And, you know, if they're inspired to donate to the prison healing campaign, that's there. So yeah, those are the two best places.
And I will make sure to put all the links below this episode. If you're watching the video, it will be below there. Thank you, Kristi, so much. This was such a treat.
This was so great.
Thank you. And I will be back next week. Thanks for listening.